So one of the most important decisions you'll ever make as a man is the woman you choose to commit to. The wrong woman can drain your time, your money, and even your purpose. But the right woman, she can double your focus, multiply your success, and literally change the trajectory of your life. And most men never learn how to tell the difference until it's too late. So within this video, I'm gonna let you know exactly why finding the right woman can in fact change your life for the better. And take it from somebody who has done a lot of casual dating. I've also been in long-term relationships. Currently right now, I've been seeing a woman for the past 4 years. A lot of you guys don't know that. And so I've seen the perspective of both. And I do feel like casual dating was definitely fun and it had its time and place, but it often came with a lot of baggage, including late nights, drinking, drama, just overall more distractions. However, when I actually look back at my life in terms of the trajectory of my own sexual market value, my own career, the odd truth is that I've made the most progress in my life when I was dating the right woman and actually not sleeping around. Crazy. I mean, maybe there's a coincidence there, but it's the truth. My income, my focus, and just overall my discipline towards life and towards the things I wanted to do skyrocketed. Now, like I said, casual dating does have this time and place, and it definitely helped me with understanding female nature, understanding what I do and what I don't want. However, if you find the right woman, it can literally change everything. However, let me explain the cost of getting this wrong, because here's what most men do not realize whatsoever. And that is, on the inverse, if you end up picking the wrong woman, not only is she gonna waste your time and just waste years, but even money, emotional scars, and even just derail you from your overall purpose. But once again, the right woman, she can accelerate you forward. She can become a force multiplier towards your mission. And the first thing you gotta start thinking about is the assets versus liability sort of mentality. So this obviously comes from finance. Asset is anything we put our money into that grows in wealth. A liability is anything we put our money into and it depreciates, it loses value. So you have to start thinking about your relationships like finance and start seeking out women who are assets, meaning that they provide value. You know, they're gonna make you richer in your money, they're gonna make you richer in time, energy, and just overall peace of mind. And we're gonna get into like the probability of actually finding assets and how you can make this woman into an asset. But on the inverse, a liability, as explained before, this type of woman is gonna drain you. They steal your focus, they take your focus, they take your energy, and they just drain your bank account. So the first question you really need to ask yourself, and this is in terms of any woman you're dating, is she adding or subtracting from your life? Is she adding value, or is she just more so taking? Also ask this one question too. What value does she actually give you outside of sex? And I'll be real with you. A lot of women I've met, a lot of women you probably dated, they literally do nothing outside of sexual gratification. Like, they might as well just be a sex doll. It sounds bad, but if we're being real, like, most women just don't provide any value whatsoever. They don't help. They don't try to make your life easier. All they do is bring stress and a little bit of sex. Like, that's literally it. And so speaking of finding assets, how hard is it to actually find one in this crazy dating market that we're in? Now, I'll tell you, I've been on well over 200 dates at this point in time, and I've met good women throughout that. Now, I personally found that 1 to 5% of the women you meet will have this sort of characteristic of being an asset, providing value to your life. Or at least they can be moldable, because some women aren't, you know, perfect out of the gate. You do sort of have to build them into what you like. And sometimes that takes a bit of training, though it sounds bad, but it's the truth. But if we take a look at that percentage, that means you have to go on at least 50 dates minimum. 50 dates minimum to find somebody who is an asset towards your life. Now, some of you guys might be thinking that's a ton of volume, and I agree, it definitely is. You know, especially if you're a guy out here meeting one woman every 3 months or having 2 dates a year. And so that's why the first solution to, you know, finding an asset in your life and finding the right woman is actually going out on more dates. That's why I mentioned how casual dating does have its time and place, because without it, you're not gonna find the woman who's genuinely an asset. And that's exactly why I focus on helping guys not only attract the right woman, but also get the right amount of volume so that they can bring the right woman into their lives. And I do this all with what I call the Romeo effect. Now, the Romeo effect is something I've been personally working on for the past 5 years. It's been battle tested across hundreds of different clients, and I've seen guys literally go from 1 day every 2 months, every 3 months, or maybe fresh out of a divorce or fresh out of a breakup, not knowing how to approach this new dating landscape, to then getting 2 to 3 dates a week, slowly adding up to that 50 date minimum, right? Listen, if you want to see exactly how the Romeo effect can work for you, how you can actually start getting women to show up to the date, actually start attracting high interest and start going on more and more dates so that you find the right one, I created a free presentation for you. Check the link down below after watching this video. Now, we kind of talked about what makes a woman an asset, but let's kind of dive into that a little bit deeper. So number one, she's going to bring peace and not stress. A woman in your life who is actually there to help you grow is not going to be bitching all the time, is not going to be complaining all the time, is not going to be trying to cause chaos and just drama in your life. And I've dealt with those types of women. It's like they feed off of emotional turmoil. As a high value man or as a man working on your purpose, this cannot be the case whatsoever. Your woman should in essence be like a sense of comfort for you. I'm not saying that she's your therapist by any means, but more so you can come to her and you already know that it's going to be relaxed. It's not going to be drama. Those are the types of women you need to be with, and those are the women who are assets. But not only that, she actually helps you stay focused and level up, which can obviously translate directly into making more money. You know, I used to see these reels and quotes all the time about how every successful man has a woman behind them or a good woman behind them. And I used to think that was BS. But looking at my own trajectory and seeing the true value in relationships, if you find the right woman, I can actually see how that is true. I can see how if a man almost has like a assistant, like your girl is basically your assistant, not necessarily a free assistant, you still pay, take her out on dates, whatever. But at the end of the day, she's like helping you. And so for me, every girl that I've ever dated, they have always been an asset to some degree in terms of helping me and staying more focused. So be it content, taking pictures and whatnot, or even managing some things in my business. For some of my clients, when they get the pictures back to me to review, I'll have the lady go through it and sort of give her perspective too. So these are all the little ways a woman can help. You know, laundry, washing dishes, cleaning. I haven't washed a dish in a few weeks actually, and that used to not be the case. I used to take the time out, have to wash dishes and do all these menial tasks that takes away from my purpose. But now I have somebody who understands the value in terms of helping me with that so that I can focus more on what makes, you know, the bread, makes the money, which is focusing on providing value to the world. So this really goes into the idea that the woman complements your weaknesses. And so what you can do right now is sort of audit your life and ask, what areas do I dislike or struggle with? And the right woman can actually fill those gaps. Most people would think of, once again, an assistant to do that. But if you have the right woman, it's like, oh, you don't have to do laundry. You don't have to wash dishes. You don't even have to cook dinner. I don't cook dinner whatsoever. Every night I have food made for me and I don't outsource it. It's the woman, you know, the right woman who cooks that and makes that for me. Now, this all sounds good and I'm sure you understand what an asset is in terms of the woman who you decide to pick. Now, when you are dating, I really want you to run this very, very simple audit. And that is, ask yourself, how fast is she providing value in your life, especially after you've slept with her? You know, a woman is quite essentially useless when after you've slept with her, after you've gone out on 3, 4, 5 different dates, and she still just kind of shows up and looks pretty, for lack of better words. Like, she doesn't look to provide any value whatsoever. And this is female game too. Like, the reason why a lot of women struggle in terms of keeping a man in their life and not just getting used for sex is because they don't provide anything outside of sex. You know, I was dating a woman once upon a time and she was like, just let me know what you're looking for. You know, I'm tired of guys just only using me for sex. And like, in my head, I'm like, not only did you just tell on yourself, but number two, when I think about it, you literally have shown me no reason why I should take you seriously outside of sex. Like, you're literally doing nothing. You haven't tried to provide value in my life by any margin degree. However, the woman who I've kept around the past 4 years, guess what? She provided value to my life really fast. You know, made me breakfast the next morning, asked if I needed help with anything, saw where I needed help with things, and took the initiative to actually fix those problems in my life, or at least provide some sort of value. And so I think a good quality of an asset is literally how fast she provides value in your life. And you actually need to pay very close attention to these things, especially if you want to take a woman seriously. Also, does she make things easier or harder? Pretty straightforward. Does she feel like a nuisance whenever you're with her? Do you feel more drained in terms of your energy whenever you go to see her, whenever she comes to see you? If so, probably not a woman who you want to keep in your life long term. And then lastly, is she supporting your mission or pulling you away from it? Now, of course, anything outside of your purpose is going to be a distraction. That's normal. However, there's good distractions and there's bad distractions. A good distraction can be something in which, you know, she's still an asset provides value, but you know, occasionally you might have to go on a few dates, whatever, when you would rather be at home working. However, if she's overall in support of your mission and understands what you do and wants to see you win and isn't being, you know, jealous or complaining about your time working and whatnot, then that's a woman who you also need to keep around. Now, I want you to imagine this. Imagine waking up next to a woman who actually brings all this clarity, inspires you to stay disciplined, and pushes you to win. A woman who actually makes your life life easier, not harder. That's exactly what it looks like when you actually date with intention and filter properly and go through the vetting process as we just discussed. Now, after all this, I know some of you guys might be thinking, I don't need a woman to succeed. And that's true, you technically don't, but the right woman, once again, multiplies what you're already doing. She's an accelerant. And why would you grind harder when you could just move faster if you had the leverage? Now, here's the thing, knowing how to filter the right woman isn't just random luck, that's actually a process behind it. And once again, this is why I created the Romeo effect. This is a step-by-step system that flips the script, so instead of chasing women, you become the man that they actually choose and pursue. And you naturally attract a woman who add value to your life instead of subtracting from it. And in fact, once again, I put together a free presentation that walks you through exactly how the Romeo effect works and why most men miss it and how you can completely change your dating life and your future if you were to implement this one thing. And if you're serious about finding the right woman who makes your life easier, not harder, click the link below, watch the free presentation, and see how the Romeo effect can work for you right now. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.